Alright, in today's lecture we'll be looking at Module 2, which is variables, data types, and constant. That is what we're going to consider. Let's first of all look at the learning objectives for this class today. By the end of this module, you should be able to understand basic data types in C, like integer, floating point, and so on. You will also know the difference between variables. I think you are jotting down some notes. You should be taking down some notes. I'll be very snappy, I will be very fast for today because already we are running behind the time. So the first objective is understanding the basic data types in C language, which is example we have integer and floating point. Then you will also learn or know the difference between variable and constants, and then literals. We have variables, constants, and literals. You will also be able to declare variables and constants correctly. Declare variables and constants correctly. You should be able to use define, as define, and const for symbolic constants. Hash define and const. Let me put it on the board. Hash define, and then you also use const, short form for constant, for defining your variables. Then last but not the least, you should be able to know how to write, compile, and run the C program. So let us start with what data types are. What are data types? In C programming, data types tells the computer what kind of data you want to store. You understand? What kind of data you want to store in the memory. You know, we talk about variables. Now, variables are like containers that will store data. So when you are storing data, you need to know the type of data that you are storing in a container, so that you should be able to know what to do, all the operations, certain operations that has to be carried upon that particular type of data. We have different types of data. For example, you have numbers, you have letters. You understand? If there are certain operations that you carry with numbers which you cannot carry them with letters or words. You understand? For example, you can add numbers, but you cannot add words together. At most, you can concatenate them. There's a term that we call it concatenate. You can merge them together, but that's not the same thing as addition or subtraction or division that you can carry out with your integer number. So that is why it is necessary to know the type of data that you are using in your, or you are going to make use of in your program. Here are the most common ones that we have. We have int. Normally we have it known as int, int. That is int. It is used for numbers and whole numbers only. Is that clear? It's used for whole numbers like 5, minus 10, 100. These are whole numbers. Apart from both negative and positive whole numbers. Numbers without fractions. I hope that is taken. Then we have the second type of data type as float. We call it float for numbers with decimals. Float is used for numbers with decimals. For example, 3.14, which is also the value of pi. Minus 0.5 minus 1.5 minus 3.5 any number that has a decimal point. That is used for float. Then we have char. Some people pronounce it char. And char is meant for character. C-H-A-R. C-H-A-R, which is character. This is used for single characters. It's used for single characters. For example, A, and it's always placed within a single quote. If you are referring to A as a character, you place it within a single quote like that. What do we use double quote for? Can you remember? If you are using double quotes, it's for what? For string. That is a group of characters. Anyways, some programming languages can treat both single and double quote as the same thing. Okay. The next one is double. Double is for bigger decimal numbers, more accurate than float. Double is for bigger decimal numbers. Think of data type as choosing the right container for the kind of data you want to store. That is just that. When you make choice of the right container for the kind of data that you want to store in, then that is what we are referring to as data type. I hope that is clear. Then let's quickly look at variables. Variables, constants, and literals. What is a variable? A name for a memory location that can change its value while the program runs. That is just the meaning of a variable. In other ways, we can look at variables as containers that can store any value that you want to store in your program. Now, the program you are writing needs to operate on data. Are you getting me? For example, if you are writing a program that is going to add numbers, it's going to add 2 numbers to give you a result. Are you getting me? So you need a container for the first number and you need another container for the second number, so that when you bring them together, you add the numbers together, and then you need another third container to hold the result. So definitely you need 3 variables for that scenario. You need a container or a variable that is going to hold the first number and that of the second number, and then another one for the result when you finally add them together. Is that clear? Except if you are going to make use of one of the variable to add the result and then still keep it inside that container. You are at liberty to do that, because variables they don't have constant value like the name implies. Their values can be altered, can be changed anytime. That is why we say it's a memory location that changes its value while the program runs, while the program is in the run. So we have this example here. But now let's look at the constants. After looking at the variables, the next thing is constants. Constants, a value that does not change while the program runs. So constants are in contrast to variables, or they are opposite to variables. Variables, we say their values can be changed within the program or while the program is running, as can be seen in the example there. We have shown an example there that initially you assign 25 to age. The variable name is age and it's of type int. So subsequently, the next line now changes the value to 20, okay, or 30, or any value at all. But then for constant, their value must be maintained throughout the program and even beyond. Their values are constant. So this type of containers are used for constant values, like parameters that have constant value, like pi. You know pi, as we use in mathematics. The value of pi is constant. What is the value of pi? Okay, you know 22/7, right? When you divide it in decimal point or decimal value, what is the value? 3.14. In short, we have it as 3.14. You understand? So that is constant. Anywhere you go, the value of pi is constant. It hasn't to be. It don't have to be changed. So if you are using quantities like pi, then you need to declare your container to be of type const or constant. Exactly. Then we talk about literal. What is a literal? A literal is actually the value that is assigned to your either your variable or your constant. Is the value that you assign to your variable or your constant. For example, 25, 3.14, and so on. All these things. It can be a car. It can be a character that can be assigned to your variable. So the value you assign to a variable or you assign to a constant is known as what? A literal. It's known as a literal. Next is how to declare variables and constants. We need to know how to declare them. Now, normally in a programming language, for you to use a variable or a constant, you have to declare it first. Declaring means stating that this is the variable or this is a variable. You need to state first before you make use of it. There is no harm when you state and use it at that moment, but you must specify it. So we have quite a number of examples here. For example, int score. You have declared a variable as score. Then that's the name of the variable. Or you can declare int score equals to 90. At that moment, you declared and use it at the same time. Let me demonstrate. Look at it here. So when you declare your variable and say, by saying int score equals to 90, as seen there, it means you declare the variable as well as assign value to it. You use it. In some programming languages, when you declare a variable without using it, there is an indication, there's an underline to that variable name to indicate that you have not used it. That is when you are using console programming. Right there on the console that you declare it without using it, it indicates that yes, this variable has not been used. There is no harm to that. It's only indicating to you that in case you forget you have declared a variable here, you can even make use of it at that time or any time. Now for constants, this is not different, it's not too far away from how to declare a variable. You can also declare a constant in a similar way, but then make use of the keyword const. To make sure that the value doesn't change, that tells the compiler that this value that is going to be assigned to this variable must not be changed. Are you getting it? For example, you will now say const int max student equals to 50. At that time, you declared your constant and then you have also used it. So apart from stating the data type, you will first of all state the const keyword. After the const keyword, followed by the data type, followed by the name of the variable or the constant, and then if you are going to use it at that moment, then followed by the assignment symbol, which is equals to, then followed by the value that is going to be assigned to the variable or made to the constant. So that is how you can declare your constant in your program. You first specify the keyword const, followed by the data type. It can be int, it can be float, it can be double, it can be char, it can be any of them, followed by the name of your constant as your container. You must give it a name. The name specify a memory location that you're going to store the constant value. Then if you are going to use it, like in case of a variable, if you want to use it at that moment, then you can use the assignment statement. Equality sign is there, and then assign the value to it. So throughout the program, once you mention the constant name, like here in this case we use max student, you can, once you mention max student, then the value 50 that is assigned to it, which is unchangeable, now it comes to play. The next thing is symbolic constant. Let's look at symbolic constants. Sometimes we give a name to a fixed value using #define or const. The keywords #define or const. Using #define is a preprocessor directive. It's a preprocessor directive. For example, we have #define pi 3.14. Then we can use const keyword, and if it is const keyword, we say const float pi equals to 3.14. There are differences there. Now use #define for simple values and const when you want the compiler to check types. You understand? If you want the compiler to check types, then you use const. But for simple values, you can use #define. So that's the difference. Or you can go and still search for more differences between using #define to declare your constant variable, or using a const keyword. Now let's look at how to code and run your C program. Step-by-step procedure. Step 1. Write the code. Use any text editor or IDE. IDE means Integrated Development Environment. You can either use Integrated Development Environment, or you can use any text editor. Text editors, we have examples of text editors like VS Code. We have Sublime. We have Notepad. We have Notepad++, and some of them. These can be used to write your code. So the first thing is you type the C code in any of these. Secondly, you save the file. The second thing is you do what? You save the file. Use a .c extension. .c extension. Example, program.c. That is when you are saving your code. You must save it with the file extension .c. I don't know whether you are aware of file extensions. You know that in computer, every file you create has a file extension. The file extension specifies the type of program that will open the file. You understand? For example, a text document like your Word document, it says with the file extension docx. Is that clear? It saves your file with the file extension docx. What about current row? .cdr. Very good. .cdr. What about your spreadsheet? It's something XLS. Very good. So try and find out the file extensions. All right. The next, which is number 3, you have to compile your code. This now convert the code into a machine language using the C compiler like GCC. Example, in the terminal you have GCC program.c or program. Then number 4, run the program. After compiling your program, you run it. So these are the steps you follow to write and run your program in C programming language. Now if you are using code blocks, just press F9 to compile and run. You can look for all these text editors and download them to your system. How many of you have systems here? How many of you have your laptops ready? No, you need to have your own laptop for programming to be effective. You must have your own laptop. You understand? Because programming is like is something that you do every day. So even at midnight when you wake up, you feel like putting down some codes. You do that. So you need to have your laptop. Your laptop is your companion to this journey. You take it anywhere you are. Exactly. Now we have assignment here for you. You can put down this assignment. Answer the following. Number 1, what are the differences between A variable, B, a constant, C, a literal? Give one example each. That's number 1. The differences between a variable, a constant, and the literal. Give one example each. Number 2, now say, declare an integer variable, a float variable, a constant using const, and a symbolic constant using hash define. Declare 1, an integer variable, 2, a float variable, 3, a constant using const keyword, and then a symbolic constant using hash define. I hope we explained that already. We talked about that already. And then number 3, your question number 3, we have up to 4 questions. Question number 3, write a simple C program that we do the following. 1, declares 2 variables. Declares 2 variables. 2, assigns them values. Assigns them values. And 3, print the result. Print the result. Then the last question, which is question 4, is what are the steps to run a C program on your computer. What are the steps to run a C program on your computer? So that is all we have for today. Thank you. Thanks for your time. You can now ask your questions if you have other questions.